I enabled Python 3.14's new JIT compiler on a hot loop I've been running in production. Set python_JIT equals 1, rebuilt, ran pyperf. The loop got 47% slower. Not 2% slower, not within noise. 47%. And the thing is, I should have seen it coming. The CPython JIT has a specific failure mode that nobody talks about when they write Python is finally getting a JIT headlines. Every benchmark that says JIT equals faster is measuring a workload the JIT was designed to win. Yours probably isn't that workload.
Python 3.14 shipped in October 2025 with an opt-in JIT compiler. To enable it, you set the environment variable python_JIT equals 1 at runtime. That's it. No recompile required on official builds. The underlying mechanism is called copy and patch, and it comes from a 2021 paper by Xu et al. The idea is elegant. At CPython build time, the compiler generates machine code templates, one per micro-ROP. At runtime, when a hot path needs to be JIT compiled, CPython literally copies those templates into executable memory and patches in the concrete values, addresses, constants, type information. No LLVM, no IR, just very fast template instantiation. This is why startup is not the problem. Copy and patch is genuinely fast to emit. You don't wait 3 seconds for the JIT to warm up the way you do with PyPy on a cold process. The problem lives somewhere else entirely. Under the hood, Python 3.14 runs your code through 3 layers before it becomes JIT output. First, the bytecode interpreter you've always known. Then, a specializing adaptive interpreter that watches which types flow through each opcode. Then a micro-op tier that breaks each bytecode instruction into smaller units, roughly 10 micro-ops where you'd have 7 bytecodes. And finally, the JIT emits machine code from those micro-op traces. That middle layer matters a lot. Even before a trace ever gets JIT compiled, the micro-op interpreter alone runs about 20% slower than the standard bytecode interpreter. You're paying a fixed dispatch tax just for being in the tiered pipeline. The JIT only recoups that cost if it can produce machine code that's fast enough to overcome the deficit. For simple, predictable code, it can. For branchy code, it often cannot.
Here's the core mechanic. The JIT builds linear traces. It watches your code execute along one specific path and compiles that path to machine code. Every branch that could go a different direction gets a guard inserted. A guard is a runtime check. Is this still true? If the guard passes, you stay in JIT-compiled code, and it's fast. If the guard fails, you de-optimize, fall back to the interpreter, reprofile, potentially compile a different trace. That de-opt is not free. There's overhead in switching execution contexts, resetting counters, and invalidating the trace cache. Now think about a tight loop with branchy dispatch, something like a simple state machine or a mini interpreter. Every iteration takes a different branch depending on the current opcode or token. The JIT compiles the first trace it sees. The very next iteration takes a different path, hits a guard failure, de-optimizes, recompiles, over and over. You end up paying the warm-up cost of profiling, the cost of compiling the trace, the cost of repeated guard failures, and the cost of de-optimization. All of that on top of the baseline 20% micro-op interpreter overhead. There's a warm-up threshold, too. As of 3.14, a code region needs to be hit roughly 2,000 times before it becomes eligible for JIT compilation, up from a previous threshold of 16 in earlier experiments. For a loop that only runs 500 iterations total, you never even reach JIT code. You pay the micro-op overhead the entire time, get 0 JIT benefit, and end up slower than if you'd just run plain 3.13. Memory is the third factor. Each JIT trace takes up executable memory. In trace-heavy workloads, that pressure compounds fast. The JIT allocates executable memory for every hot path it decides to compile. And once memory is tight, the runtime starts invalidating traces to reclaim space. You end up in a cycle where traces get compiled, evicted, and recompiled. 40 worker processes, each holding trace memory for dozens of hot paths, can push a memory-constrained container over the edge. So to recap the failure conditions: short-running processes, branchy hot loops with unstable type profiles, and memory-constrained environments. If your workload hits any of these, you should measure before you assume.
Let me show you the actual numbers. I used pyperf, which is the standard benchmarking toolkit for CPython itself. If you're not familiar, pyperf handles warm-up calibration, process isolation, outlier detection, the things that make Python micro-benchmarks trustworthy. Here's the setup. 3 loops, each run with python_JIT equals 1 and without it. The first is a pure arithmetic loop, something like summing squared integers from 0 to 10 million, all floats, no branches. With python_JIT equals 1, this got about 8% faster in my run. That's the happy path. The types are stable, the trace is linear, the JIT produces decent machine code, and the warm-up cost amortizes quickly across 10 million iterations. The second loop is a branchy dispatch loop. I simulated a small bytecode interpreter, a dictionary mapping integer opcodes to operations, branching on the opcode value each iteration. 50,000 iterations, 8 different opcodes cycling pseudo-randomly. With python_JIT equals 1, this was 47% slower than 3.14 without JIT. Why? The trace for one opcode path kept getting invalidated by the next iteration's different branch. The JIT compiled and decompiled the same region repeatedly. The benchmark confirmed it. Wall clock time went from 18 milliseconds to 26 milliseconds on my machine. The third is a NumPy-heavy data pipeline, loading a 100K array, running several vectorized operations. Result? Essentially no change, within 1% noise either direction. NumPy's hot paths are already in C. The JIT never touches them. Python_JIT equals 1 has no opinion on code that's already native. The pattern that emerges from this: the JIT only wins when a hot path is long, type-stable, and runs enough iterations to clear the 2,000-hit warm-up threshold. The moment you introduce polymorphism or branch unpredictability, the guard machinery eats your gains. The pyperformance suite tells the same story at scale. The geometric mean speedup across all benchmarks when enabling the JIT on 3.14 is roughly 0.5%. The best-case benchmark, Richards, saw 100% speedup in a recent JIT front-end rewrite. The worst case, N-body-style workloads with type instability, saw 15% regressions. Those numbers are from the faster CPython benchmarking team's public results. One important context: if you build CPython 3.14 with a modern compiler like Clang 20, the optimized interpreter baseline is so good that the JIT often can't beat it. The JIT advantage is more visible on GCC 11 builds, where the interpreter isn't as aggressively optimized. Most Linux distros ship with recent GCC or Clang, which means for a lot of production deployments, python_JIT equals 1 is neutral at best.
There are real cases where it helps. 3 of them: long-running processes with type-stable hot paths, a web API that has been running for 20 minutes repeatedly calling the same request handler with the same argument types. The JIT warms up, the guards stop firing, and you get a real speed-up on the hot path. In my own pyperf test on a fast API handler loop, I saw consistent 8 to 12% throughput improvement after a 5-minute warm-up period once the trace settled. Data pipelines with consistent types and no branching. If you're parsing a fixed format CSV where every row has the same types, summing or transforming values in a tight Python loop, not delegating to NumPy, actual Python iteration, the JIT can shave real time. The key word is consistent. If row 50,000 introduces a none where you've only seen ints before, you get a de-apt cascade. Scientific simulations that iterate the same numerical update function millions of times, same type profile every iteration.
The trace compiles once and stays valid. Here, the JIT delivers something close to what the headlines promised. The two things that reliably make it worse are short scripts and CLIs, you'll never clear the warmup threshold, and anything that looks like a dispatcher or interpreter, any loop whose branch depends on data you can't predict statically. The check I run before enabling it in any new context, I look at the hot loop, ask whether the type of every variable is identical on iteration 1, iteration 1000, and iteration 1,000,000. If yes, enable it and measure. If there's any chance of variation, measure first before you ever flip the flag.
Run pyperf on your actual code. Real code. Production paths. The command is straightforward. Install pyperf with pip, wrap your hot function in a pyperf.runner call, and run it twice, once with Python JIT equals 0, and once with Python JIT equals 1. Diff the means. Let the numbers tell you. Don't trust blog posts that say Python 3.14's JIT is 5x faster. Don't trust this video either. I gave you the failure mode and the benchmark pattern, but my workload is not your workload. The JIT is still experimental for a reason. Its behavior is genuinely workload dependent in ways that no headline can capture. The official criteria for the JIT to graduate from experimental status, according to PEP 744, is a meaningful performance improvement on at least one popular platform, on the order of 5%. We're not there yet on average, but we're close enough that for specific workloads, today it already earns its keep. Measure yours. That's the only answer that counts.